Hi! On this video we will see how to give the admin the ability to add new images to the design asynchronously or even delete any image as well. So let's go ahead and start. So at the beginning let's open the design.aspx and inside the panel arrange images I will add here at the end, for example, the file upload control, and let's give it the ID of upload images, and let's set its allow multiple property to true in order to give the admin the opportunity to upload more than one file, and the client ID mode will be set to static in order for this control to preserve its ID after the page got rendered, since this control is an ASP control. Now let's add also another control, which is the button, which should upload the files got selected by the file upload control. So input type equals button and the ID btn upload selected images. Okay, and let's give it a value of upload. Let's close the tag and save all and refresh our page here. Okay, now when the user selects multiple files and click open, then by clicking the upload he should be able to upload the files. Let's type a script here for the upload button. So in order to do that I will open the design.js and on page load do the following. The button, which is button upload selected images dot click, a function will run, and I will type here inside the function, for example, alert, I am ready for your orders. So save all, refresh. Now after the user selects the files and click here, you will get this message. But it might be a better idea, once the user selects any images, this button got clicked automatically. So in order to do that, I will add here, let's copy this one and let's copy the file uploads ID and paste it here, but this time the action is change. Once it got it changed, what will happen? Trigger the click of that button. So dot trigger the click action. Okay, so let's save all and test this out by refreshing the page. Now let's choose one file or more, open. Okay, I think this is the problem here. This is a broken hyperlink. Now instead of clicking here to choose the files, I want to add a more appealing icon here. When it got clicked, this file upload button will be clicked in return. So in order to do that, I have already prepared the HTML for this list item. So copy it and paste it immediately after the repeater finishes. So the repeater has an items which has the li tag, and this is the last li tag which has the class of dev add image. Let's save all, and actually before testing it, let's copy and at the beginning here paste dot click function upload images dot trigger click. Now let's save all and refresh our page. Here we go. If you click now here, maybe yes, this one is a class instead of a ID. Refresh, click here. Okay, so there is no point of keeping those two elements visible to the user now, and in order to do that I will type here style and press escape after type it equals display none. Okay, copy this one and paste it here, refresh. Okay, now we can select, then the images will start uploaded immediately. Now let's see how to asynchronously upload our selected images. In order to do that, let's first create a new file and go to the generic handler and give it the name of upload images handler dot ashx and delete those lines here and add the following line. And since the code should be typed here is too long, I will copy it and paste it here. Okay, now let's discuss what this code does. I think there is a mistake here. Yeah, I first defined a variable called disID, which will get its value from the query string ID, and then as usual DemDB as new entities 101 design, then defines the current design which related to this design ID. Then I will define a new variable called the last sort index. Last sort index aims at investigating what is the last image index on the list of these design images. So for example, if you right click inspect this image here, this image has a file ID of 4, and in order to get its sort index, if you go to the database and go to the file ID of 4, you will find its sort index is 2. So last sort index equal db.designfiles.where m.designid equal design ID, and the category should be equal to image, and return the maximum sort index among all the image files for this design. So once it finds, for example, 2, then the last sort index will be 2. If there is no files at all, this will return an error. So it doesn't find any file that meets this criteria. So in this case, the last sort index will return 0. And then I will run an if condition here. So if there is already a file waited to be uploaded which has a count bigger than 0, then them files as http file collection equal context.request.files. So this will be an array, and for I as integer equal 0 to files.count -1. Since this is 0, it will end with the files.count -1. Then file as http post file equals the current item of the array, so the item which has the index of I from this loop. And then I will get the extension of it with system.input_output.getExtension file.filename. Then define a new file name, a new random file name, in order to avoid the repetition or overwriting an existing file. So I defined here a new get, which is a random string, and the new file name will be equal to this path images designs and this variable plus the file extension, the original file extension. Then I have defined a new row inside the design file table, represents the new file that I am going to upload. My file.design ID will be equal to design ID. Sort index will be equal to the last sort index plus I plus 1. And since the I starts here from 0, so for this design, for example, the new file will get the value of 2 plus 0 plus 1 equals 3. My file.file URL will be equal to file name, which is this one. Now let's test whether the file awaiting to upload is an image or not. So if the extension equals to JPG or PNG or GIF, then do the following. If not, simply ignore the request. Then icon name as a string equal images designs icons. So by the way, we have to go here to the designs and create a subfolder inside it called icons, otherwise this will give you a runtime error. Once it reaches this point and doesn't find a folder called icons, it will give you a runtime error. So in this step, I want to save a smaller version of the file inside the icons folder, which has already the same file name and the same extension. Now it's time to save physically the file name and the icon name, but after saving, compress the icon name with a maximum width of 250 or a maximum height of 250. Okay, and in order to know how to install this plugin, click the link displayed right now. This plugin in any way will not override the image's aspect ratio. For example, if we have an image of 500 pixels by 200 pixels, the final image size will be 250 pixels by 100 pixels. Okay, So if the file extension equals JPG, what is the reason of this if statement here? The reason is that if the image has the extension of PNG or GIF, then I compressed it with this toolkit, the background will be black instead of transparent. Okay, so in order to avoid this phenomena, I have already put this condition here. So if the file is PNG or GIF, it will not be compressed, it will be saved inside the icons folder with the same name and the same size. My file.icon URL equal icon name, then my file.category equal image, then it's time to save it inside the table, then db.save changes. Now as you know, once the user clicks here, then start selecting images, then confirm, he expects to see a waiting indication like a send clock or a please wait message during the upload process. Otherwise, he might suspect that his command has been ignored, the thing which might incent him to re-upload the files again. So in order to get this indication, I will add this dev element here immediately after the panel arrange images. I will later on set its visibility to false, but let's save all and check its visibility now. Okay, here we go. Now let's set its visibility to false by setting the style equals display none. Okay. Now let's go to the design.js, and the first thing I will add here at the top of the page is to define a variable called GWS and give it the following path. Okay, then go to the default.js and copy the function that we have already discussed before, which will get the value of the query string and put it here. Now let's take advantage of this function by var something called design id equals get queue_string of id. Okay, so far so good. So let's now go to the click event of the button and type the following. Then I will start by typing here var files equals the upload element, which is here the file upload, and I have to cast this element from jQuery element to a DOM element by adding the square bracket 0 in the middle. Type here dot files, so this will return an array. I will type if files. I have to check first that there is at least one file exist here. Files.length is greater than 0, then do the following. I will define another variable here called form data equals new form data, and let's start a for loop here. So for var I equals 0 and I should be smaller than files dot length and increment by 1, do the following. Form data, so by now form data is empty, and for each I will append the file. So the append function has two arguments. The first one is the file name, so files I dot file name, and the second argument is the file itself, files I, and I mistyped here the square brackets, so it should be square bracket because this is an array element. After the loop finishes, I will invoke the Ajax function. So Ajax, and the Ajax has the following. The URL will be equal to the upload images handler.ashx, and add a query string here, id equals and plus design id. Okay, the type of the Ajax function equals to post. The data is form data. The content type equals to false, and the process data equals to false as well. And before send, do the following function, and inside this function I will let this upload image weight div element to appear dot show. Okay, and on complete run the following function. and I will leave this function empty for now, and on success run this function, and I will also leave it empty for now. Okay, let's rebuild and test out what will happen. Now refresh our page, click here, let's add any image, and it seems nothing happened. Okay, let's try to refresh our page. Now it seems that our chosen image has been uploaded successfully. The problem here is that the end user will never guess that he has to refresh the page, and most probably he will think that the upload process has been ignored, then decide to re-upload the same image again. So we want the uploaded image to appear immediately after selecting them. And our plan will be to delete all the list items here, this list items, this one and this one, except the last one, which is dev add image, and then reload them again from the database. So in order to do that, I will refer to the UL, which has the ID of sortable here. So let's type and select the children, which has the tag of li but not has the class of dev add image. So select all the list items except the list item which carries this class, and then detach them from the DOM. Let's test this code so far and refresh here. Now let's click on the plus, select any image. All the images has vanished. Okay. Now in order to load the images related to the design inside the unordered list asynchronously, we have to first go to the ASMX file, which is GWS, and add a new method. So let's copy any method here and change its name. So the new name is design images, and this will accept the design ID as an argument. Okay, then dim db as new entities 101 designs, and dim files, and I will avoid on this case using the lambda expression, and I will tell you why shortly. From f in db.design files, where f.design id equals the argument design id, and f.category equals image order by f.sort index select. And it's a common mistake here to type return f in case you intend to output a JSON, as this will result in a circular dependency error. Instead, you have to explicitly indicate the field names you want to output one by one through select new with, and between two curly brackets type dot file id, so this is the name of your choice, equals f dot file id, and dot icon url equals f dot icon url, and so on. Now dim js as new javascript serializer, and once you type this it will give you an error because you have to import the system.web.script.serialization. Okay, once you do this it will import it in your behalf. Okay, dim output equals js.serialize the files, this one. Okay, then context.response.write output. Okay, now let's rebuild and let's test this one separately by clicking on view in browser. We will test the design ID equals 2, for example. Okay, now this is our method here. I will type 2, for example, and let's click on invoke, and this is a JSON you will get in return. Okay, so each file here is represented with a curly bracket at the beginning and curly bracket at the end, and this is a file ID property, and this is the value, and this is the icon URL, and so on. Go to the design.js and let's continue with the complete function. And since the lines of code here will be too much, I will copy and paste it from Notepad. So let's paste here our code, and this is a post function, GWS plus design images, which is this method, and the argument of this method is design ID equals design ID, which we have previously defined here at the top of the function, which is equal to the query string ID, and the function will return a result. This result is our JSON here. Okay, for each file, and each function has an index and the object. So the object here has different properties, which is the file ID, the icon URL, and so on. All of those properties here, file ID, icon URL, and so on. Var a new image. As you can see here, the file ID should be written here as the data file ID, and the file.icon URL should be placed here. If we rebuild our solution now to test out this, refresh our page, let's click the plus sign and select any image, and as you can see here, the page cannot read the image path. Why? Because tilde is not a recognized HTML character for the path. I will remove it, and instead it will be images, designs, and so on. So if you remove the tilde dash, your file will appear properly here. So in order to avoid this from the beginning, before writing the output, let's here type output equals output dot replace the tilde dash with nothing. Rebuild, refresh, try to upload any image, and yeah, this is a success here. However, as an alternative way, we could have avoided writing this line inside the ASMX page and type it here instead. So image source file.iconurl.replace, so the same replace function exists on the JavaScript as well. The tilde slash with nothing. Okay, and this would give you the same result. Now let's handle the delete image event. So in order to do that, I will first go to the gws.asmx and add a new method for the delete. This time it will be delete image file by val file ID, this time as integer. Dim my file equals db.designfiles.single function m, where m.file ID equals file ID. Now before attempt deleting the file record from the database, let's first delete the file physically from the hard drive along with its related icon, in order to avoid leaving orphan files occupying a space on the hard drive for no reason. So I will start by typing try in order to avoid returning errors in case the file has been already deleted by mistake. System.input.output.file.delete server.mappath myfile.file URL, and I will copy this try and paste it to the icon URL this time. Then I will have to remove this file from the database then. So db.designfiles.remove my file. Okay, and this would not be enough because we have to resort the files again. Suppose that the sort index is 1 2 3 4 5 6, and I deleted this one, which is 3. The sort index of the remaining file will be 1 2 4 5 6. So in order to rearrange the files again, I will type here before the remove file dim design id equals my file dot design ID. And since I know the design ID now, I will type here dim image files equals db dot design files dot where function m dot design ID equals design ID and m dot category equals image dot order by function m dot sort index. Okay, now for each image file in image files, do the following. I forgot here to dim I as integer equals 1. Image file dot sort index equals I plus equals 1. Then I will type here at the end db dot save changes. I should have typed here db dot save changes in order to refresh the number of records inside this table, then run this loop here and then save the changes back. Let's right click inspect, and this is the class I should refer to. Any icon has a class. Inside the page load, any element got the class dev delete image got clicked. Do the following function. So I will var the clicked element equals this. Okay, then jQuery dot post function gws plus the method's name, which is delete image file. The argument is the file ID equals to this icon here has a parent. This parent has an attribute called data-file ID equals the file ID. So I will refer to its parent. So this dot parent dot data file ID. And what happened in case of success? Function and do the following. So I have to locate its ancestor, which has the tag of li. I will type here this. Instead of type dot parent dot parent dot parent, I will type here closest. So it will search among all the ancestors until it finds the ancestor which has a tag of li, and then detach it from the page. Okay, now let's refresh our page and click here on the delete button. Okay, however, if we try to upload a new image, then later on try to delete it, we will fail to delete it. Because remember that those images have been generated after I click the add button. In other words, after the DOM ready event and after the page loaded. And since the delete event is within the DOM ready event, it will not recognize those newly created elements. As a workaround, I will refer to their parent element, then refer to them within the context of the parent element. And this will be done by replacing the click event with the on event. So on, and the first argument is the event name. The second argument is the context, and our context here will be the dot delete image, and I will add this event to the parent, which is sortable. And the third argument is a function. Okay, now let's save all and let's refresh our page now. Delete this image, try to add another image, click this image for example, click on delete. Okay, now it's working. Now let's enhance the interaction with the user a little bit by giving him a confirmation message that asks him to confirm the image deletion. So I will use here the jQuery UI dialog plugin, and in order to use that, I have already prepared a div element that will be used as a dialog. Okay, so the ID of this dialog is dialog confirm, and I will refer it here inside the code behind page. Let's go here and type jQuery dot dialog, then the parameters of the dialog. The first one is the resizable. I will set it to false, and modal will be set to true in order not to give the user the chance to interact with the background while this dialog displayed on the screen. Then buttons will be two buttons actually. The first one is the delete button, and when clicked, let's type here D capital, and when clicked there is a function that will run. The second button is the cancel, and when clicked another function will run. Okay, and the function that will run after you click the cancel button is this, and this here refers to the dialog dot dialog between brackets close. So I'm ordering now the dialog to close once the user clicks the cancel button. Let's copy this one here, because even when the user confirms the deletion, he will close the dialog at the end. So paste here and then add the post function here. Okay, Control K, Control D. Now let's save all and let's refresh our page. Now let's add a new item. Let's click on delete. Okay, it's working fine now. Let's delete this one as well. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, please press like.